Hi, everyone. Welcome to our graphics thought leadership panel. Obviously, a lot is going on in the world of graphics this month. The Olympics wrapping up. You know, those were just an amazing cornucopia of graphics and data visualization. Here in the States, we had the Super Bowl, which obviously had some really cool AR developments. It's amazing to kind of see what all of you guys are up to. So thank you for joining us. We're joined by Gabriel, Kyle, Thom, and Phil. So Gabriel, I wanted to start with you from the Flowics perspective. You know, we want to kind of start with nice big broad question of market trends. So when you look at your customer base, how are they putting your system to use? How are they using it in new ways, if you will?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Ken, for having me. So let's see. What we see from our clients is there's an increased trust in cloud-based technologies. Clients are coming to us looking for more flexible and more affordable production workflows and faster implementation times. I think that in the past 2 years, probably we've seen also an increase in the adoption of SaaS technologies. The market, our clients, they are seeing the benefits of moving to subscription-based pricing plans and cloud-based technologies. There are many advantages to that. The fact that you need to work with on-premise equipment. You have multi-tenant platforms like Flowics, where the software is always updated, like every week, every day. There are no capital expenses, no maintenance costs. So for us, it's been great to see the market finally accepting that we need to be ready for the cloud age. And I think that we all as an industry, I think we have to build technology and solutions for this new cloud age of the broadcast industry. And we're seeing that from our clients, definitely coming for more flexible production workflows and more affordable as well.
Excellent. Yeah, Kyle, from the Chyron perspective, not to date myself, but I remember back in, it's not quite the cloud, but around 2000, Sinclair here in the US was using Chyron for centralized graphics operations for all their stations. So, which is sort of similar to cloud operations at the end of the day, because you're sort of centralizing everything and sharing resources. But what's new from Chyron? What are you seeing from some of your customers?
Well, I think I want to echo the same sentiments as Gabriel, where we are moving towards that same model. But we're also seeing an emergence of displaying more data, and particularly in sports. How do we display more advanced analytics? And so we're seeing that in two fields, which is the emergence of second channels, where we can display a channel, maybe like a tactical feed, that's displaying more advanced analytics that may not fit into a traditional broadcast. And so we're also seeing, with the emergence of streaming, the ability to create interactive graphics, where typically in these second channels, these tactical feeds, where the graphics are played out by a graphic operator, the streaming platform and these streaming channels and moving everything to the cloud can open up HTML5 web-based rendering, and that opens up these interactive touch points. So the users are now in control of the graphics rather than the broadcasters, and they can customize the feeds and their viewing experience to their needs.
Interesting. Yeah. So Thom, obviously, I think Gabriel and Kyle both hit on two topics you see top of mind. So what do you kind of see out there as far as market trends from your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. It's reassuring in a lot of ways to hear the same things. The conversations that we're having with our customers, they're actually really energizing. I think the industry's learned a lot about its capabilities and some of its restrictions over the past couple of years. But as we're coming out of, dare I say it, COVID, I think the drive to innovate has been really noticeable with our customers. Adoption of new production models focusing on cloud services, SaaS models, and the flexibility and scalability that can come with it is a really hot topic. And I think where we're working with federations with a global reach, the focus on more personalization, second screen or language feeds, or targeting sets of fans through specific types of content everyone's kind of trying to move closer to the fans and look for those opportunities to kind of personalize. And everyone recognizes that kind of scaling a traditional on-premise facility to enable all of this, to try and do that in a flexible and cost-effective way is probably an impossible challenge. So we're doing a lot of work with our customers to help define what their facility and production models will look like next year, but over the next 10 years. Those are the kind of scale of the conversations that we're having. And then agreed on an editorial level, we're seeing our customers increasingly looking to leverage the value of the sports data that they have, as you said, through enhanced visualizations and that kind of data-led storytelling. Trying to, we see a lot of our customers trying to find a unique piece of story that they can engage their fans with. So it fits really well for us. We've been out there innovating for a long time, and as a supplier, it's really a privilege to kind of work with our customers to help define what that's going to look like over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, it was fascinating to watch here in the States on the Olympics, like the figure skating, the data, and I don't know if it's the same that you guys have seen, but they could show they showed what the skaters were doing, what they were performing, and then this possible score they could get if they did the baselines, and then if they got bonuses. It was amazing because you could actually follow the whole, more than ever, figure skating, which for the most part we're just watching people if they fall. That's the only thing to judge. But this was like cool. You actually kind of really get some in-depth understanding of what makes a good triple axle and what have you. So Phil, from the Disguise perspective, what are you hearing from your customers?
Well, we're a lot newer to the market than everybody else on the panel, and I think we're hearing very much the same of what the rest of the guys are saying. We've been doing over the last 12 months a lot of customer focus groups, a lot of broadcaster focus groups. So we've been doing them mostly in Europe and in North America to get a feedback for what people want and where they're going and where they see the industry going. And we're seeing a load of wish lists, basically. And we're seeing an increase in adoption of the Unreal Engine, obviously. And everybody's jumping on Unreal. How do we do it? How do we use it natively? What's the easiest way to use it? Or what's the best way to use it? And I think the whole idea of when Unreal 5 comes out, I think that's going to be a big game changer for the industry as well. We're seeing a growing demand for more photorealistic environments. What can we do with them? What can people do with them? How do we increase the artistic merit? But that's great to show pretty pictures, but how does it tell a story to the audience? How does it engage people more? How does it keep viewers watching for longer? I think people don't just want to see fancy photorealistic graphics just for the sake of a vanity project. It has to be part of the story, and it has to add value to what the viewer is seeing. To follow on from the guys, people are looking for scalable and flexible solutions. We saw particularly over the pandemic how people were doing more with less. There'd be less cameras at games. There'd be less people on site. And I think that was a big push that we all knew was coming. But I think the pandemic kind of pushed it a lot faster than we all thought it was going to go. And some of the innovation that's happened over the last 2 years, particularly in our industry, has just been amazing. We see some of the stuff that people have got to screen all over the world, and sometimes you just sit there and you just have to nod and applaud and say, well, that was brilliant, well done, guys. We're seeing a lot more support for remote production. We're looking at people, and this started before the pandemic, people wanting to decrease the travel for staff and talent. And sustainability had become a big thing. We saw it initially starting in Europe. BT Sport were a big driver in this about, get the train to games. If you're doing a Champions League game, treat it as a regular working day. Don't be flying out on the day. I don't care if you're on a £60 EasyJet flight and you need to get a £300 train journey. Off you pop, boys. And the final thing we're seeing is more of a desire now for previs content. Can I see it before I get it out there? I think it's been a really, really exciting time, but I think that over the next couple of years, we're just going to see those boundaries get pushed even more and more, because there's some really, really talented people in our industry.
Sure. Well, Phil, I wanted to follow up as far as the next question, which is sort of what's top of mind. And one of the things you also mentioned was the need for training. And I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with all of your tools. They are becoming more accessible, as far as in the old days, you had to buy a big heavy box and then but now people can spin up stuff and get in trouble, for lack of better words, because they can also have more tools than they need. So where do you see is the need for training, and how you guys, and maybe Gabriel, you can follow up as well, as far as making things more intuitive to use. So what's the challenge, Phil, as far as people in training?
We think the challenge is, and what we've identified, particularly our engagement with, in particular, the tier 1 broadcasters, is that the training that's needed, not just for creatives, but also for engineers as well. So how do we get people upskilled? We've got millions and millions of gamers out there who all love building stuff in Unreal in their bedrooms or in their basements. How do we get that talent into broadcast? How do we get people upskilled and trained? We've identified that, and together with Epic, we're starting an Unreal for broadcast training program. And part of it will be for creatives, and part of it will be for technical people. And it's a way that we're looking to support the industry to upskill people. There's loads and loads more opportunities in live broadcast now. We're seeing a lot more high quality virtual studios and live events with AR and XR. And we've seen a lot, particularly with the likes of clients such as Discovery, that they're moving more to teleportation rather than transportation. So they'll bring an interviewee into the studio and they'll mix that within the studio. We're seeing people start to understand and appreciate more the LED and XR advantages, and I think they're becoming a lot more understood within the industry. I think we all thought a couple of years ago we think of XR and Unreal, and we just think of the Mandalorian and the cost implications that were around it. But I think that's now changing. But people want the wow factor. They want that wow factor of Unreal, but without the technical and integration complexity. So how do we do that? We're not building games. What we're doing stuff that it's pretty much a similar workflow for all of us on live broadcast, particularly in sports. So how do we channel that down and make things bespoke so that it makes it so much easier for the broadcasters to bring in the talent or train up their own people to deliver these things?
Sure. Now, and Gabriel, I know one of the things you wanted to discuss was, you have the tools, and then you have this massive data set that's flowing through, and you have the production teams, and you've seen a pain point of, I guess, sort of similar things, which is sort of integrating all this stuff and bringing it together in a reasonable manner. So what are you seeing out there, and how are you kind of looking to address that problem?
Yeah, absolutely. One comment regarding the training and what Phil was saying. I think it's our job as vendors to create products which are easier and easier to use over time, and with great user interface, and make it easy for the graphics artists, the graphics operators, to work with our tools. So I think it's our job. So yeah, we have that very clear on our side. I just wanted to add that to what Phil was saying, and that's very related with the live data integration, which is clearly one of the pain points that we see in the market from our clients, especially in live sports production, esports as well. That's another important category in which we work at Flowics, and we are seeing this pain point every day when we talk to customers or to prospects. There's more and more data available for all kinds of sports competitions, esports as well. And the challenge is how to process that data and put it on air in a meaningful way, in a way that it's also engaging for the viewer. I think that we all going to agree that by putting more data on screens, in many cases, we are making the broadcast more engaging. We're also teaching the viewer maybe about a new sport that they are not very familiar with. Ken, you were talking about figure skating, right? Probably we know nothing about it. And it's the same with many other sports. So when you add this data layer to the broadcast, when you add these maybe additional hints about what's going on, well, the viewer will stay longer because now they are engaged with that broadcast and they really understand what's going on. And the same applies to esports. We have cases of our clients in the esports industry that they need to show live stats of the game in real time to the viewers, because if you don't have those live stats, you just don't know who's winning or who's, So it's I think it's a challenge that we are seeing, that we are trying to solve on our end. On the Flowics side, we built a data integration layer that basically abstracts the complexity of working with external APIs, and we got now native connectors to many sports data providers in the industry, like Sport Radar, Stats Perform, Genius Sports, and timing companies, scoreboards, etc. So we're trying to simplify data integration to in the best way possible. So yeah, that's what we are doing, and a pain point that we see in the market these days.
Excellent. So Kyle, yeah, what do you see as top of mind within Chyron as far as development and product development and roadmaps and NABs coming up? So hopefully we can see some things finally. We're all going to be there, right?
So I think something that we've been focusing on is taking a product line or different tools that we've had in the past that may have focused on specific areas of the broadcast, and bringing them all together, bringing them under one platform, giving one a unified platform to design their graphics, so that users don't have to learn 3-4 different ways to build a graphic for X amount of different outputs that they may be using. So the training that's been talked about here is reduced because the users and the graphic artists and the broadcasters know how to build the graphics using that single platform. And we can bring all of those different workflows that may have been separated for so long and under one roof. And we can bring VSAR, AR, video walls, even just traditional CG closer together. And then that allows us to work and build towards the SaaS model. And we can spin up those different environments, whether you're using everything in the cloud or you're using everything on the ground. The users are comfortable with the tool set that they have, and then they can expand upon their workflows without much resistance.
Right. Excellent. Great. So Thom, I know you want to discuss the paradigm shift in production models that you've seen out there. And then, how are you seeing what's going on in graphics? And you mentioned systems integrators, how they're becoming more crucial. So can you tie that together as far as how what's going on in graphics impacts systems integration and why it's a big consideration?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it ties in with what's been said previously, because part of it is around this kind of training and onboarding, and there's the graphics creation piece of it for sure. And then, I think Phil spoke about the engineering piece. We're convinced that we're in this paradigm shift, and I think it's obvious that the technologies are changing and have been for a while, but the move to a SaaS model and cloud technologies is accelerating it. And, talk about using kind of AAA games renderers and things is changing the skill sets. And the skill set, the learning curve required is pretty steep. And you're adopting these new products, the migration of services, it all has to be done inside the broadcast industry that we work in. And that's a space where, honestly, anything less than a kind of 100% service is rightly considered by our customers to be substandard. So there are all these benefits that are available with these new tools, but we understand, and I think all of us here probably understand, that any changes behind the curtain, they can't have a negative impact for the fans that are consuming the property. We can't take down feeds. The data can't be less reliable. We can't have an impact on that live program that's happening. Because in the end, if anything is done on the back end where we get to work, it causes the fan experience to be compromised, then it's going to be seen. It might be a one of the steps forward, but it'll be a step backwards for that broadcast or that season or that release. So what we're trying to do, and the conversations we're having are to try and help the customers kind of reap all those benefits that we've spoken about while mitigating the risks. And that means bringing all of the stakeholders together to try and figure this out. This isn't going to be done in isolation by any one technology supplier. In the coming months and the years, the collaboration that's going to be required in the industry to define the standards for the next generation of production is going to be significant. And this is where it's in that space where we're really recognizing the value that we can bring. You know, we plug in as the graphics supplier, but obviously at Deltatre, we do a huge breadth of work across kind of video infrastructure and digital services as well. But how to work in that space as a systems integrator, because it's fine to have a tool set that's easy to operate, but if you don't know how it plugs in with your, you know, media asset management system or your mixing desks or however you decided to set up your production facility, then none of this stuff can come online safely and in a way where our rights holders, our broadcasters, can be kind of confident to do it. So it's a really interesting space to sit down with the technicians and with the customer base that we've got to try and figure out what that journey looks like over the next few years.
Sure. So the last topic for us today is innovation acceleration, which obviously has been a theme. So we'll touch on this briefly, but you know, Thom, continuing that line, I mean, you know, you mentioned broadcasters, but also what's going on is increasingly, obviously, there's the digital side of the house is becoming as important as the broadcast side of the house. Are you finding that those ecosystems, when it comes to graphics, are properly aligned? Is there one graphics environment that's serving both, or is it sort of scattered to the winds and silos, the classic broadcast digital silos that we've seen for the last 2 decades?
Yeah, we all definitely know that the silos exist, and you know, it wouldn't be true if I sat here and said no, everyone's fully aligned between the digital side of the of a rights holder and the broadcast side. I think the drive to have a tool set and a workflow that allows us to meet whatever the output needs to be, I think is the right one. I think you have to try and figure out exactly where you're going to be doing that. I think once we move to kind of device side rendering and that ultimate personalization of content and localization of content, I think that multi-platform becomes a lot easier to understand. But there will always be that piece that's happening, you know, inside the studio. If you look at the kind of technologies that Phil's talking about, where, you know, that's not going to be rendered on the user's device anytime soon. Part of it is compositing the actual broadcast feed. So finding a way of sharing the design assets and the kind of that development workflow, whether that's mapping all of the rich data sets that we're getting to tap into, maybe you're only doing that data piece once, and standardizing it in some way, that's a really important kind of space to work in. And where that step forward around the use of sports data and the value that the customer is bringing is something that we've seen huge acceleration on. I think trying to target the different graphics channels and seeing the opportunity to deliver enhanced statistics to different types of viewers is something that increasingly, yeah, it might not be that the digital and the broadcast teams are fully aligned, but now at least the broadcast teams are starting to target different markets. So you might want to have something personalized for a youth fan group, or you might want to have something personalized for a different geographic location. So I think that goal to kind of build once, deploy many times is still the right thing to be aiming for, and seems to be where we're trending. In terms of data visualization, you know, we've got a really good relationship with ATP Media, for example, and we've just gone through a full end-to-end redesign of their on-screen graphics brand, and that's been a really fun and engaging journey to go through with ATP, because they're into the sports data and they understand that they can really target their fans and start to tell unique stories to engage them. It's been a fantastic collaboration between their data experts, our tennis experts, the designers and the developers, and creating a set of assets that can be used across broadcast and then eventually for the kind of digital delivery as well. So they launched for Rotterdam recently and will be at the Masters event for Indian Wells as well.
Excellent. So this is, and for the people watching at home, you know, what I find fascinating is the pre-notes you guys are all lined up. It's wonderful. So Phil, for example, you're on innovation. You said more targeted, loads more personalization, more data, viewer choice, which is just what Thom was talking about. So do you is that really where you see things? That's the real opportunities going forward?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm listening to the guys talk, and every time we speak, it's as though, you know, didn't I write that down? Have you got hold of my notes or something? You know, I think we're all aligned on this. We're all seeing the same things. You know, more about clouds, loads and loads of stuff on data and integration and visualization and how that can add to the storytelling. You know, when Thom was just talking about broadcasting digital and alignment, there's still a bit of a way to go. But after what we've seen in the last couple of years, and for how things have changed, who knows how quickly they're going to get aligned. And none of us would be surprised. It only takes one person to do it, one broadcaster to do it, and then everyone's off and following them. You know, I think we're going to start seeing, particularly on the OTT platforms, multi-feeds being delivered by one operator and being responsible for one part, directed for different viewers based on their demographics, very personalized experience. You know, again, I think we're just all on the same part, but just don't even get me started on the metaverse and how that's going to change stuff. You know, I think everybody talks about the metaverse, but I don't think anybody knows really what it is yet or how anybody's going to monetize it. Yeah, there's my thoughts on that, Ken.
Sure. And Gabriel, I know you wanted to talk about sort of the continued democratization, and obviously you see some opportunities as far as costs coming down and becoming even more cost efficient and cost effective.
Yeah, I think that let's see. The other day I was checking some stats from Twitch, for example, and you know that during the pandemic, the number of streamers and content creators on Twitch, it just doubled or more. So think about that. There is an explosion of content creators of all sizes, right? And we see that also with the big broadcasters, right? That they are launching secondary channels like tier 2, tier 3 channels, these pop-up channels that maybe in this case, the graphics requirement are different from their main linear channels. We have these millions and millions of content creators. We got leagues and federations, and we're not talking about the NFL, the NBA, or the MLB. We're talking about like tier 2, tier 3 federations and leagues all across the world that they are now trying to reach new audiences, going direct to consumer, producing more live content. So there is clearly an explosion of live content, and that will keep on happening over the next years. And I think we have here a massive opportunity to democratize access to broadcast quality, powerful graphics to this long tail of producers and content creators. And I think we're going to see that. And on our end at Flowics, we are working with that vision in mind, that we can take broadcast graphics using web technologies, like in our case, which is HTML5 and fully cloud-based technologies. We can take that not only to the exclusive, the elite of the big broadcasters, but also to this long tail of content creators. So we're really excited about that opportunity.
Excellent. And Kyle, last word to you. So Edge graphics. So can you explain that concept a little bit and what that means?
Yeah, so part of bringing everything together, as I mentioned, for the Prime Live platform, is being able to be versatile and expand upon that creative capabilities. And one of the areas that we've expanded upon that is Prime Edge, which is effectively web-based rendering or HTML5 rendering. So that gives the users the customization that they're looking for in the broadcast. And to be able to expose, like we've been talking about, that data and that customization that they're looking for. And I think just hearing everyone speak, I think we're all chasing the data in a lot of senses. The data is pushing the broadcasters to come up with these new ideas. And without the data, these ideas really, and these second screens and these new forms of deployment really wouldn't be possible. So even just looking at our Track App brand, some of the new data sets that they're coming up with when it comes to optimized ball tracking or limb visualization when it comes to virtual offsides, the data is becoming so great and so fine-tuned that it's really giving an opportunity for these broadcasters to come up with these ideas. And the graphics are chasing the data in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's amazing to see what you guys have been up to, and it's evolving quickly, as you've all mentioned. So really appreciate your time, gentlemen. Be safe, and hopefully see you at NAB, because it's really going to happen this year. I'm feeling it.
Yep.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, guys.